National Fire Radio.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Size Up by National Fire Radio, where what you do off the job matters. And you guys know normally this is like my let's babble on time, Pip, and tell you about what I'm doing in my life, but I'm not even getting into that because my guest tonight is so important. He is a complete day in the future. So it's like future boy, I think he was called on the last podcast I know that he was on. And even that was closer than our time zone, I think. And because he's an international guest, we even screwed up the time because I guess in Australia, you guys don't fall back or spring ahead like we do here in America.
No, we definitely do, but I think when we planned this was just before your change of time.
Yes. So we planned this like 3 weeks ago, and we just fell back because it's fall back. You would think I would know this by now, but like, yeah, we just fell back. So when do you guys do it? We do it in like October, November, and then sometime in the spring. I have no idea.
Do you know what? It's getting harder to remember because your phone just does it automatically for you now. You wake up, you go to work,
right? You don't need.
Someone's like, "Oh, you got to change your clock today." Why? There's a new battery? No, we've sprung forward or gone back. I'm like, oh, okay, I missed that.
You have to change the microwave. That's about all we have to change here. The microwave and the coffee pot these days.
Yeah, I remember the days where you had to change everything and you were just trying to go, well, I'm late to school now. I'm going to just blame it on daylight savings.
And your parents didn't know how to change the alarm clock or the VCR, right? Like we're the same age, so like you had to figure all that one out, and there was no like button that said clock, and you just had to do it. It was like a 12-step process.
Yeah, if those kids are listening, man, we had real struggles.
Yeah. The struggle was real back in the 80s when you were trying to change, and then it would be blinking if you messed it up, and it would just blink forever, and you would just leave it. There were some clocks I remember we just wouldn't change that clock, and then 6 months later it was back on the normal time.
Yeah, real problems. But look at us now.
I was
flying.
That lazy. What's that?
Look at us now. We're just flying.
We're just flying. Yeah, the phone does it for you. The computer does it for you. Dispatch does it for you. You're so dude. I'm so old. We had to do it in dispatch. Like that's when I was dispatching, we had to physically do it on, except for like the computer itself, but everything else we had to change. That's how.
Wow.
It's bad. I know, hard life. It was a hard knock life back in the day, right?
Yeah. I think we qualify for the line now. Back in my day, Sonny Jim, we used to change.
Isn't that the worst? Isn't that the worst when you can like physically say you qualify? Like I know, so your kids are a little bit younger than mine, but like mine are like, yeah, tell us what it was like in the 80s.
Yeah, they're never going to understand.
So for those of you listening, because I'm the worst podcast host, like if you can't tell, my guest today is not here from America. He is a firefighter in Australia, and I've been fortunate enough to know him through another past guest, our good friend Gerard Mann. I guess that's how we met, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Right? And so you've been over here now 3 times at FDIC?
3 times, coming back for 4. So, yep.
You're gonna add on some time because Indianapolis is so scenic, or are you gonna go anywhere else when you're here or no?
There's some plans afoot. Jared and I we're looking at what we can do both before and after. So we'll probably be here for about just under a month, I think.
Oh, that's a win right there too. Like for you guys. Yeah. I mean, I'm only getting 2 weeks when I come to Australia soon, and you guys are gonna get another month here.
Oh man, am I looking forward to that.
So for those of you that don't know, so this is going to, this will come out before we go, but my family and I are spending the holidays in Australia, so Christmas and New Year's with all the Aussie firefighters that I have become friends with and their families, and they are literally rolling out the red carpet for us is the only way that I can kind of say this from what I hear at least.
We're going to show you what Australia is, give you a bit of a cultural explosion.
Because we didn't do that for you here in New Jersey. So Steve has been to my house here in Jersey. Gerard has been several times. Our other mate Danny has come over with him too. So when Steve was here, they had a very limited time. They were only in Jersey for maybe like 48, 72 hours, and we crammed it in. We did everything we could do.
It was amazing. I had a great time. I think your house was happy for me to leave. the physical house that was. But yeah, we had a good time.
It was fun too because like you guys got to see like small town New Jersey where I live because we were having like a little town festival that weekend. And I was like introducing you to all my little local friends. I'm like, look at my friends came all the way from Australia for spring stroll.
That's it's funny we're talking about this because it's one of the best things about being a firefighter. I think like here's a whole bunch of Australians coming across to America, and here's a firefighter from America. Just hey, come stay at my house. Let's go down to the beach with my family and my kids, my wife, and let's just all have a great time. And we all get along so easily and so well. And then flip it around, you're coming over here, and our families are going to host you. And it just happens everywhere, and it's fantastic.
It's so crazy. I mean, just even I worked a couple days ago, and they were like, one of the other houses called my house, and I'm like, "You guys got any patches laying around? There's some Canadian firefighters here that want to trade." And I'm like, hold on, let me work on this for you. Give me a few minutes here." But it's just that like, and you hear like right there's flip sides of it. Like you can follow some social media pages that are like the brotherhood is dead and the fire service is ruined, and then there's other ones that are like, no, this is what it is. It's just updated. And I feel like we're living what it is and what it's always been.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you don't feel like it's dead once you get out of your own fire service. I can understand some people who don't get out or very limit their interaction with people, and they go, oh yeah, the same rhetoric, the same thing, the same day, Groundhog Day. But as soon as you get outside of your area, whether it's just down the road or it's a completely different country, it's just amazing. People are just like, wow, what do you guys actually do? How do you do that? And you start having this dialect, this conversation. It's just, we are just the same. We talk different, we look different, but really we're just the same.
And you say inappropriate words that you can't say here in America, but you can say in Australia. So
yeah.
It's funny though that when we say this though, and like I've been out at FDIC with you every one of these years, and look, I've been there a lot of years. I've done a lot of different things. I host this show. I have a crazy mohawk. People know me. However, you're a bigger celebrity at FDIC than I am by this point because people are like, I was in class with Aussie Steve. Like how were you in class with Aussie Steve?
I don't know how that became a thing. I really like. I tell you what, imposter syndrome. I'm the living model of it. I'm like, how did this happen? How did I get up on stage? How am I getting stopped everywhere? Like, I'm just a firefighter from Australia who just turns up to work, does his best, and then all of a sudden I'm in this other country and people are like, hey, I remember you. It's
well, you're very memorable. I mean, you're a handsome guy, so you have a cool accent. But no, come on. The reality is because you are a student of this craft. You're a very personable guy. You're representing. Technically, and we've made the joke, like even especially when we're out later at night, you're representing your entire country when you're there because there are. Except last year, you brought your boss, which I don't know if was the best idea or not to bring to FDIC with you. Right? But you're representing the whole country, but that's it, right? And you do such a good job of it. And listen, it is a novelty. It'd just be like if I'm at an Australian fire conference and they're like, oh my God, that guy's from New Jersey. Does he know Tony Soprano? And I say, yes, of course I do.
Yeah, absolutely right. It does go both ways. We had Frank Lieb here early this year from the FDNY, and we did the same thing for him. Rolled out the red carpet. As soon as he speaks, everyone's like, oh, you're not from here. So you want to know a bit more about them. And then he talks about being in the FDNY, one of the most famous fire services, and people are attracted to that. So it is a novelty when you're outside your own location, like what I was saying earlier. And that opens doors, breaks down barriers, and you just have a great time. Like that first year in FDIC, hanging out with you guys and the 555 and the Bullet crew, and that was amazing. We had a great time. Like I could not imagine where I was. I blew my expectations away from what I thought I was going to a conference to sit there and watch lectures. No, I learned so much, both in and outside the fire service.
Yeah, I mean, because you do the hot training every year. You've done hot trainings too, right? which
Yeah.
is
Oh
something
yeah.
I still haven't gotten to experience at FDIC. I just, the time is never there to get to that part of it, right? But those trainings that you're doing too, especially because we do things the same. We put out fires, you guys put out fires, but we do them a little bit differently. And I've learned so much from you and Bear just talking about this through the years that it's such a cool thing to get to see and be a part of. So again, when you're in those classes with folks from around the country, I mean, we put out fires on the East Coast differently than they do on the West Coast. So for us, that's cool. For you, it's a whole different ball game, right?
Oh yeah. It's like the goal is to put out fires, save people's lives, be a part of that community, vital link, that chain. But how you get there is totally up to you, totally up to your department's SOPs, etc., etc. But it's totally your own adventure. If I put out a fire this way and you put a fire out that way, the fire goes out. How we got there could be completely different. The fire still went out. So there's no right or wrong answer unless the fire doesn't go out, or somebody gets hurt, or etc., etc. So to see the American way of putting fires out and physically go and see it too, that's the key. Like, you can watch social media till your face goes blue, and you're going to see usually a lot of the worst stuff. You don't see all the great stuff, and you make an opinion and you go, oh my god, they do it like that. But if you go and have a look at why they do it like that, how they do it like that, get the data behind it all, and then you can really make an opinion based on evidence, not just YouTube, for example. So that's what I've really loved about doing the HOTS classes. You get to talk to the guys doing the stuff that I never saw on YouTube, to tell you the truth. I had my opinion before I went, and I was wrong, and I learnt a lesson there. But to see how it's done, and the passion that everyone has behind it, and their journey, your journey is slightly different to ours, but our destination's the same.
Yeah, and you're just not seeing it. You're experiencing it. Like, you're going in on the line with these guys, front, back, whichever spot you're in, whatever classes you guys have taken. Like, and trust me, there isn't a dude in that class that's not like, I want to go in with the Aussie. Like,
oh, we have a big laugh. There's been a few good moments. Going in on the line and trying to describe, hey, I want you to go, 3 yards. I'm probably screwing this up already. 3 yards and turn to your left. I'm like, how far is a yard? I don't know. Do you speak meters? And then another one.
Liters, not gallons. I need liters, not gallons. I need.
We're doing BES search, and I've come in through the window, and I've searched the room, and I'm ready to come out, and the instructor's like, "Did you search the crib?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's a crib over there." "Yeah, did you search it?" "Why would I search it?" What was the difference was, as an instructor, a hot fire instructor in Australia, we call a crib where we put the fire.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what the heck are they calling a crib that they wouldn't search it? Oh.
A baby's crib is a bassinet for us.
Oh, there you
go.
So
it took me a few minutes, and I'm like, oh, it's a bassinet. And then the instructor's looking at me, it's a what? We had a big laugh, and he was like, all right, you're done. Out you get. So you have some funny moments as an Aussie there.
For sure, because I would be like, what? Yeah, because we call that the burn bed usually. Like, here, it's like the burn bed or something. That's hysterical, too, that they were just like, I could see the argument, too, with your masks on. Like, the crib. Yeah. No, why would I go on the crib? That's where the fire is.
Yeah, we're looking at each other face to face, having this conversation. And anyone else looking at us would be going, what are they talking about? But it's
interesting too. You bring up vent enter search because just today on the internet there is a video out of somewhere, I can't remember where. And for my non-firefighter listeners, vent enter search is basically where we're, as a firefighter, we're putting a ladder up to a window, or we're going up onto a porch roof, we're opening that window and going in and searching that room. And then we have to add another letter, isolate. We're shutting the door and trying to find any victims. But just, I think today, actually, earlier this morning, at an apartment fire, a firefighter rescued a 2-year-old out of probably a crib doing a vent enter search. And it's on video, on police body cam, that's out already. And it's a proven technique. It does come with some risk, and you have to make a calculated risk before you do that. Having a coordinated attack which is something that I'm mostly fortunate about in my department with multiple companies arriving, helps us to make that decision. But I don't think you guys did that in Australia or do that in Australia still, right? From what I
No,
understand.
not formally. I've heard it being done in rare circumstances where it's warranted, where that risk assessment's done and that risk versus reward is there. But it's not something that we train on, and it's not something we don't have an acronym for it. Basically, we don't do it. But the reason why I wanted to do it in the States is as a teacher or trainer here, you've got to look outside the box at everything that we do as a fire service globally and go, maybe we could do parts of that, or geez, I don't think we're going to do any of that because that's not within our skill set. So you've got to look outside what your normal training is, and that's the beautiful thing about HOTS training and the conferences that you have in America. You can do so many different techniques. Doesn't mean you're going to do them back home at your local fire station or department, but you can apply little bits of information. Like maybe you might do VES training, you mightn't do that on the fire ground, but the technique of searching during that training may be something new. So you can take something from it, even if you don't do it.
I think that's one of the things too that got a little lost in the internet era of like, or at least like, I want to say the internet era, but like the social media era where people's attention spans are, like the 10-second reel, the 20-second reel type thing. I mean, I put up minute reels and people are like, those are too long. I'm like, don't you want to hear what the person is saying though? Like they're really saying something good. And we lost that kind of art of trying to learn and wanting to learn, right? We just want it really fast. And when you go to these conferences, though, you get that. It's the same as like with Bear about high rises. I can't tell you how many people, when he talks about like, oh, I'm here instructing high rise firefighting, and they're like, there's high rise buildings in Australia? And he was like, yeah, the 8,000 meters high. And I'm like, no, we can't do meters, bro. Floors, do floors.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a huge built up city. Huge built up city. I don't think you're coming down to Melbourne, but Sydney's very similar. But you'll see it's like going to Chicago. You're driving along and then all of a sudden in the distance there's this group of buildings just standing out of the middle of nowhere. Most of our cities are the same because we're very much coastal hugging nation. Yeah, 85% of our population is within an hour of the coast, so all our cities are grouped. We don't have a lot of big cities in the middle of the land space, the continent.
And then too, like being you're on the coast, like you'll have a city, and then what's like a normal distance to another city? Just, I mean, I know there's probably no normal for anything, but are they more grouped in and then you'll go a distance and there'll be another group of them, or does it?
We have small regional centres, but to go from capital city to capital city, it's probably an 8-hour drive to Sydney from Melbourne, and probably the same to Adelaide, which is west of us. So every city is probably about a good 12 to 8 hours away, except for Perth, which is on the western side of Australia. It's like all by itself. You almost forget it's there. It's so far away. It's like New York and Los Angeles distance.
Gotcha.
So
it's funny too because my friends invite me to Australia, but they don't invite me to where they live, and I think it's like a secret thing that they're doing to be like, well, yeah, you have to come back because you have to see Melbourne. Like, you have to come back.
Well, yeah, absolutely, come back.
You guys definitely you're gonna reel me in for another trip. I could feel it already, but I think I'm okay with it once I survive the flight. Like that's and that too. Like, look, I'm coming to Australia on vacation with my family, right? So I'm flying, those 17 hours, 20 hours to get there. You guys are doing that to come to a fire conference, right? And we have people that don't want to go an hour to a fire conference.
But we're used to it. We do that for everything. To go to Sydney on the airplane is a 2-hour flight, or a bit less. So if you're going to go anywhere in Australia, you've got to commit. But if you go anywhere outside of Australia, it's a long haul flight. You want to go to Asia, there's 6 hours, 7 hours, depending on where you go. You want to go to the UK, it's longer than it is to go to the States. You've got to have a stop somewhere usually. Or it's a massive 18-hour flight. I'm probably getting the hours wrong. But
Well, it's
But you
probably
get
that. I
used
mean,
to it.
yeah. I mean, that's your life, right? When you want
Yeah.
to get off the island, like, and I'm sure there are people that don't leave the continent, like they just stay there
Oh
forever,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That was me when I was a young kid. I was like, why would I go anywhere else? Everything I want in Australia. Then then I
See,
went to the States for uni, or not for uni, but like a school holiday and working holiday, and loved traveling. That was it. Once you travel, you get the bug, and off you go.
nah, I get that. I mean, I feel that way about New Jersey. Like, why do I need to go anywhere else? Because everything is right here in New Jersey and perfect. Clearly, it's the best. But once you get that travel bug, and especially now with the boys, like, they're ready to go. Like, we spoiled them a little bit, and we started off small, and then we went to Iceland. And once they went to Iceland, it was all over. They're like, I want
Yeah,
to go to every country we can.
it's the best thing you can do for your family. I think. Like my wife and I talk about it a lot, and it's the memories and the experiences that are the most invaluable things to your family. And if you can provide as much of that as you can, now it doesn't have to be going to Iceland or Australia. Like it can just be going away camping.
Sure.
Those moments is they're the invaluable things. So if you can afford it, go as far as you want, wherever you want. And if you can't, do something local. But buying stuff for them and spoil them, yeah, we all do it. But I think it's the experiences are the most valuable part, not the game consoles, not the bikes,
Yeah, not the stuff.
not
Definitely
the
not the
stuff.
stuff that's piled in my house right now, like
Yeah,
everywhere. That I'm like, there's just stuff. Like, why are we doing this? And that's an interesting thing because we're coming there for Christmas, and like, it was like, boys, Christmas there'll be some small presents, but this is not going to be like a normal Christmas here. Like, we're going to Australia.
yeah,
Like, get it?
yep, yep. Santa Claus isn't making a special trip with your bike.
He will be there first though, so it's kind of cool. We get all the first. We get New Year's Eve first. We get Christmas first. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, New Year's is
it's
going to
gonna
be
be.
so different. Or just having a hot Christmas, that'll be different for you, wouldn't it?
For sure. Well, for my kids, definitely. Tracy has been in Florida for Christmas, and I've been in Los Angeles for Christmas. So we've had that experience, not in a really long time for both of us. Um, and two, with the weather here, I mean, a few years ago I was wearing shorts on Christmas. So I mean, we dropped below freezing the other night for the first time this fall. But then at 1 in the afternoon that day, it was 70 degrees again. So I don't know what we got going on over here anymore. I give up.
Wow. It's like Melbourne. We're down south, which is like your north. So we don't get snow in Melbourne, but I remember 2003 when I was a volunteer up a mountain resort, volunteer firefighter, and we had fires. And then on Christmas Day, so fires arranged about a month, just one fire just going for about a month through the forests. And on Christmas Day, it snowed, and we had photos of fire and snow at the same spot. It was
Which
just
is and you generally don't get that in a forest fire type
no,
situation.
you don't. It just started snowing on Christmas Day, which was unique in itself, and we still had active fire.
So let's go back to that. Like, how did you decide? Like, hey, I want to do this fire thing. Like, when did that start for you?
Oh, that's a funny story. I was when I was a young man, I was a surf lifesaver. So volunteer surf lifesaver. You go down to your local beach and you're on surf patrol. And you just like Baywatch, but not so famous. Yeah, definitely not David Hasselhoff. Um, we basically got a whole bunch of kids there who have trained to do first aid and really good swimmers, and they'll come and help you out. And they're just there to get
But
a good tan.
is that like a supplement to real lifeguards or like a surf rescue service, and then the volunteers are like supplementing them? So you have the paid guys, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. So the famous beaches or the bigger, busier beaches will have a paid life service, and the volunteers will be around them. So anyway, I got into university up at Mount Buller, which is a ski resort, and no more surf lifesaving when you're in the mountains. But a local volunteer fire captain was constantly asking me to join because they had a very transient turnover of volunteers. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I never grew up with fire trucks in my house as a kid. I never had that dream. But I always had a dream of volunteering and community and all that fun stuff. Anyway, he goes, because I was in uni, he goes, every night we do training, we do a barbecue. So you get a free dinner.
Jackpot, sold.
Jackpot. I was sold. So I joined the fire service for free food.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong
Totally
with
good
that.
story.
So I did that for 5 years. Really enjoyed it. I just found my calling that I didn't know I had. And then what happened
Now,
was
wait, in the volunteer end though, just to kind of help out some folks listening too, is it like here where you join the volunteers here, your training is for free, so they send you to the academy or they send you to whatever training that is usually is kind of how that works. Is that the way it would work there for you?
Similar. You don't go away to do like a boot camp academy training. It's more locally organised within the departments or the brigades. So you do like a minimum skills program, enough to keep you out of trouble for wildfire. And then as you progress, you get more skills, BA, structure fire stuff, as far as you want to go. But the skills are pretty entry level, not in depth as what I experienced when I got into the paid service.
Okay. Which again too is something that sort of happens here too when someone becomes a volunteer. It's a lot of in-house training until there's an academy class for them to go to. They go, not like a career academy where they're Monday to Friday. They're going 2 nights a week or 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
Some Saturdays, and they're kind of like building on all those skills too. So kind of probably like that, but it sounds like with more in-house. And two, wildland there is something that, we know about because of the recent fires in the past few years that have made the TV and things here. But that's one of the biggest calls for there, right?
Yeah. Our summers can be quite unique in the sense of the amount of fuel load we have, the types of trees we have, which are unique. Eucalyptus with eucalyptus oil in it. There's your first problem.
Could be bad when it catches fire.
Could be bad. And just their area of remoteness for a lot of these fires that do start. So once they get going, they've got a head of steam with no intervention. So the fires get so big that to a point we probably wouldn't even have enough fire trucks to stop major fires. So people think we could, but you don't, because the size of these fires are just massive. It's the same up north in the States. Like, those forests are huge. You've only got to line up resources.
The population so one of the, not issues, but one of the things in a lot of our areas now where they have massive wildfires is we've populated those areas too. They left the beauty of the forest, but then there's a whole neighborhood. And that's when you see that whole neighborhood just unfortunately overcome by fire. Is it populous where those fires are, or not so much?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we don't populate the center of Australia because it's mostly desert, or it doesn't have land that's great for farming, for example. So
it's Mad Max, dude. I'm going. I can't wait.
You either live on the beach, or you live in the mountains, or somewhere in between. And no one likes to live in the dust and the sand. So obviously you're living where it's green. It is, unfortunately, it's fuel as well. So we do have that, and we've got population growing as well. So we're definitely not a declining nation. But we don't have as many people as America, so that's the interesting thing too.
But are you saying that people from other countries are moving to your country to live? Like that happens in other places, or just here? We're told it only happens here, so it happens where you are too.
Mate, it's huge here. We have a huge immigration culture, and it's been for generations. We've had immigration culture here, and that's how you build your country. If you need trades, specific people, you can either teach them or bring them in. So, until you get a big...
Do you need firefighters? Because Tracy already Googled how we can get a visa in Australia to stay if she likes it there.
I'm telling you now, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's
great.
It's.
You can't tell her that when you talk to her after this episode, because we may not be coming back then. You're like, ship the dog, put the dog and the laptop in a bin, and we'll get it at the airport.
or if she's anything like my wife, she'll be looking at real estate while she's here.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Everywhere we go on holiday, my wife is constantly, "Oh, we could live here. Oh, we could buy a house here." Like, oh, we're not going to.
We're really not. Oh no, I'm right there with you. I understand that. So is it typical in Australia to go from being volunteer service to the career service? Does that happen more or less, or?
Oh, yes and no. I wouldn't say it's popular. I think it's less than 50%, way less than 50% come from the career side from volunteer side into career. A lot of people just do change careers. We get a lot of people from the military and from police and ambulance, actually. We don't have a lot of fireys going back the other way. Not sure why that is.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has any. I don't think so. So too, in Australia, they like to shorten everything. So a firefighter is a fiery, like a chicken parm is a parmy, as I've learned these things, right? I even used one. I used one in my Aussie group chat the other day that I shortened, and I'm like, in case you didn't know, I can't remember what it was. I'm like, that's how you say it in Australian to the Australians. But that's the same as here. We don't have anybody. Very rarely do you have someone going from fire to EMS or fire to police, where you have the flip side of it going from EMS and police to fire all the time.
Yeah, it's the same here. As I said earlier, we're exactly the same. We just look different and talk different.
Well, they look very different. I mean, the toilet flushes the other way, but that's and talking different.
Is that the first thing you're going to try and find? A toilet?
Yeah, 100%. It was on The Simpsons. It has to be true.
I think it is. I never really. Our toilets are different. How did we get to just talking about toilets on your podcast?
Because we're firefighters and this is what we do. So I want to know. No one told me the toilets were going to be different. Is this like a Demolition Man 3 shells thing that I have to figure out? Like,
I don't know how much I should tell you.
Yeah, now I'm a little worried about this. Like, and this is how we get to talking about these things on my podcast. So now I'll bring the camera with me and be like, "Let's go, folks. Here I go. I'm going in."
Taking a selfie.
I've been on a plane for 20 hours and now I have to deal with this. Fucking Steve. Great. Just what I need. Thanks, Javier. Just what I always wanted to worry about. Now everybody's like, there's so many animals that are going to kill you. Aren't you scared? I'm like, I'm not scared of no crocodiles or crazy spiders or snakes, but I'm now going to be scared of the toilet. So
you look at it and you go, how does that function like that? Why is there not so much water in there?
Oh God! All right, enough toilet talk. Now we're gonna move back to this fire. How you became a career firefighter talk? Because you went to uni, right? So did you finish? Because like I did not.
Yeah,
finish.
So I studied I studied tourism, snow sports management, and outdoor recreation.
Oh,
so I did 2 courses.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds like a fun array of study there, like underwater basket weaving.
Absolutely. Basically, I just wanted to be a career student, go to just go to parties and not have any responsibilities. I was young.
We all were once.
Yeah. And then I realized I had to grow up, and about that same stage, I had what we call ops officers, so maybe like a battalion chief, come up to me and go, "Well, you should join. You should consider this as a career." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." Then they pushed me a little bit, and I took the test and got in. I was just very fortunate, but I've just fallen into this career, which is basically my life in a nutshell. I just keep falling into things, and just like, you could say I'm lucky, but you make your own luck, and that has been my life. I've just been making my own luck every step of the way. So
it's the work that you do, right? Because like you said, you make your own luck, right? You're not lucky. You're putting in work, and then these lucky things happen. I could say the same thing for me, where I've just kind of fallen into this stuff that I've worked really hard at, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing into something else, and I still don't even know what it is, right? But I get to go to Australia because I was part of a not-for-profit with a fan from Australia that somehow I became friends with. Like, crazy talk.
And that's it. Half of that mentality is just going, I'm going to take this opportunity. Let's do it. When we went to FDIC the first year, Jared and myself we were just talking, and Jared's like, "Oh, do you want to come to FDIC?" I'm like, "No, I'm not doing anything. Let's go." Oh, what is
Got
it?
nothing better going.
What is it?
What is
uh,
it?
um, but it's that's how my career kind of started. I was just kept just doing as best as I could at whatever I was doing, and just taking opportunities as they presented. And I've fallen into this career, which is the best thing I ever did for myself. Stupid luck. And now I get to teach something that I've grown into as a passion. And that is the best reward I've ever had. My wife constantly tells me, why do you do what you do? And I said, well, because every day I feel like I'm rewarded with the work that I do. Like I feel good about what I'm doing. I'm happy.
Teaching too is one of like the best. It's something that I miss because I was up until like the 555 slap in the face life change. I was an instructor. I was teaching EMS stuff. I was teaching extrication. I was teaching fire stuff, and then I started teaching fitness stuff. And then it's transitioned into all these other things that I do now. And I miss teaching because I miss that feeling of reward when you see the success of your labors. I guess is a good way to put it, right? It maybe it's selfish, maybe it's not, but like and I see it with my kids, with coaches, and with their music. The people that are teaching them and their mentors. When they learn a song and they go up on stage and crush it. When your kid pulls off the play on the lacrosse field, that feeling that the coaches and the teachers have is just unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a nutshell, once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher. Like if you teach all the time because you're a parent.
I don't know if I do a good job of that, but I try.
Well, we all try. That's what, whether you're the teacher or the student, you're just trying to grow. You're trying to grow yourself or somebody else. And if you can understand that, that's all you've got to do. Just be teachable. Have that growth mindset.
But that's one thing that you and I've talked about a lot off, not recording a podcast, but is that what we love about our job is that we're constantly learning at it. Like whether I'm the captain on the ladder or I'm riding on the car, I'm learning everything that day that I'm on the job, from the youngest guy to the oldest, most senior guy there. And that's what I love about what we get to do.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like the shift that I'm on, I'm middle management. So I'm still in the back seat, but I'm kind of in charge inside the structure because our officers don't generally go in the structure too often. Their incident management structure is outside the structure. So that's a very crazy dynamic because I have all this information, a borderline subject matter expert, that some of it I want to impart to my officer above me. And a lot of it I've got to impart to my firefighters below me. But I've also got to learn it as I'm going too. So the amount of study that someone like myself and Jared put in to teach those above and below us is ridiculous. It's like that adage of like every 100 hours of study, you're only going to present an hour of it. The rest of it's important, but you're never going to use it. You don't present on it. You just need that information.
And that information is so important so you can present on it, right? Like you need
exactly.
that background knowledge so you can just take the one point, because people are only going to take 1 or 2 points away anyway. So why focus on all the other 1,000 that you've learned to just give them that 1 or 2?
Like doing VES in the States. Not going to do it here,
easy.
But now I know how to do it and I can talk to it. So if somebody says, oh, well, those Americans do VES, I go, yeah, and this is why they do it. This is the advantages of it. This is how their structure supports VES and why our structure isn't there. We don't need to do it because our journey is different. We're coming from the left. These guys are coming from the right, but we still get to the end point.
Well, that too, and it was knowledge. Like people think, like I kind of, I'll say this, like we've been doing VES forever. We just didn't have an acronym for it until the guys came out with that, right? But we were doing it because our building construction lended perfectly to it, where in other places it really doesn't. And then they've modified different techniques and things. But we were always like first do ladder was to the porch roof because our bedroom's right there. Like that was what you were taught. That's a truck guy, second floor. You're the man. You're going up there and doing that. But we were doing VES, and then someone got really smart and was like, shut the door. Oh, wow. Never thought about that one. Thank you.
Yeah, it buys you time. And it's just the construction. Understanding construction and how fire behavior works with your construction, it lends you to opening up so many more tactics. And that's why I think in the States you have so many arguments over VES, because your construction is different from north to south, east to west. You know, some of the buildings in the middle have to be tornado proof, where some of the buildings on the west coast need to be, ventilation so they stay cool. Where in the east coast, you've got to button them right up to keep yourselves warm at night. So to try and
go on the
apply
American speaking tour.
Yeah,
you got all the American stuff down, man. Like I don't know, this Bobby Eckert guy better watch out. Like you're coming for him, I think.
Oh, Bobby, no way. I love Bobby. He's funny. He's very funny. I have some good stories about Bobby.
Yeah, but we can't talk about those on the podcast.
Another time. Another time.
Right, but that's it. That being a student, like a forever student, and that's something as a parent that I'm trying to teach the boys too. Like you have to be a student of life. Like you're learning, I'm sorry it sucks right now when you go to school and you have to learn fractions and ratios and, all these things that you may never use or you may use, but you're learning how to learn. And that learning how to learn is going to carry you through life.
And they need that. The children need it as much as adults need it to understand why they've got to learn what they've got to learn. My son has the same problem. He hates maths. Yeah, like most kids. So I said, it's not about adding numbers together. It's not about learning how to do times tables. It's about learning how to solve problems. And then I was able to bring it back to computer games and board games that he loves. And I go, they're problems. You need to solve those problems with maths. The more you do maths at school, the better you are at solving those problems, the higher your score is going to be when you want to solve problems. Now he loves it. So you had to just give him some context behind it. Yeah, you give him the context of why are you doing what you're doing. It's not because you're going to go, I don't need to know what 1 + 1 means. No, but it's the process that gives you strength to do other things.
I mean, that's even like here. We've recently switched our math curriculum on the elementary school level, and it's more of they're teaching them different ways to solve the problems than I learned how to solve it.
Oh.
And of course, there was pushback because that's not the way I did it. But once you really look into it, and now you see these kids doing math at an age that I'm like, I took that in high school, and Finn's in 7th grade taking the same class I took as a sophomore in high school. I'm like, I guess they were onto something with this change here that we made. And it's just it's that problem solving and showing them that there's more than one way to solve this problem. You have to look into it some more.
Yeah, again, a different journey, same ending.
Yep. It's a common theme for us here today. See, we
didn't
know what we were going to talk about, and we're putting it all together here, right? There's these different journeys and how they go. So you said something interesting too, because you are like you would be considered like a lieutenant in the American Fire Service, I guess, right? At the level you're at now, and then Bear just got promoted where he's more of like a captain, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
But you're still like you're not like I can't say that because I know places where lieutenants drive. So like in that middle management, you're still kind of riding in the back seat and going in, and then you get to the level where you're staying outside, I guess would be next.
Yeah. So before I get to promotions, but yeah, if we've got 2 lieutenants on the truck, we'll share driving. So we don't have a driver's position. It's basically between the fireys, which are new firefighters, basically firefighter level, and they'll share driving every day. And so everyone's proficient at everything on the fire ground at all times. We try and keep that flexibility because, as you know, the fire ground is a dynamic space. And it's the same with my rank. But it's only when there's someone else on the truck that is at my rank, then I'm allowed to drive. But generally, yep.
No, I was going to say they don't let me drive anymore, so it's probably for the best after a while. But
that's probably what they say about me too. But and I miss it.
You could get to, but would you get to a point like me though, where like if you asked me to drive now, I could do it, but man, am I going slow? Because it's been 10 years since I was first promoted, so I've driven some stuff
Yeah,
around the block. I
yeah,
had to get into our rescue truck and drive it to a call because there was no one that could do it, and I like legit got in, and I'm not even kidding you. Like it was like first day, like where are the buttons? You know what I
ah,
mean? Like how do I do this one again? Like, and I'm like going out slow, slow. There, the guys are my normal driver was following me in the engine. He's like, bro, what's up? I'm like, come on. It took me probably 2 miles to get comfortable. I would say to where I'm like, okay, I'm okay. I know what I'm doing now, type of thing.
yeah. It's the same for me. Probably not that far removed, but yeah, you do definitely got to get back in the groove of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, next step
So
for me
so
is promotion. Um, and for me personally, it's not something that drives my career. I really love where I am at the moment. Really, I strongly believe that people before they promote really need to know how to do the level that they're at first, because then you'll understand better when you're at the top managing what it is you've got to task these people with, these crews with. So yeah, for me, it's not about promotion. It's about
you really get that too based off of experience, right? Like I was fortunate, like I was a lieutenant for a few years. I was well, I am a captain now, but I've been a captain for a few years now. Like I've had multiple experiences now at all those levels of management that like it's just going to help me if I do ever get to the next one or not before I retire to have that time as opposed to that like I did this for 5 years, I did this for a year, I did this for a year, and now I'm at the top.
yeah, yeah. You need to have experience. You need to have experience because if you don't have experience in your tactics and your techniques, if you haven't experienced them, how can you ask others to do them? And they're going to know if you've got the experience. So you've got a bit of a credibility issue there about your tactics if you've never done them. So you've really got to, I think, get to a level where you've had a good lot of experience, and that's going to look different for everybody. You've got some people who are at busy stations who go into a job every day. You've got some that are at the slow stations. So those experience levels are going to be different. But training is also that other experience that needs to be counted because training is experience. You don't need to
Yeah.
have all your experience at the job. Sometimes I argue that training is the best experience because generally we can stop and do things correctly. Where at a job, you'll do that task, you might do it incorrectly, be successful. Oh, I'll just do it like that every day now. So now you're doing experience but incorrectly. It works, but it's not great. One day it might bite you in the butt.
And that's why it's training. It's your time to try things. Like we just did some rope rescue training, and I'm like, they're like, is that going to work? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's try it. We're not putting anyone on rope right now. There's no one dying here, so let's
Yeah,
try that. And a few things we tried worked, and a few things we tried, I'm like, nope, never going to do that one again. A good thing we did that today because we're not wasting our time at the actual emergency trying to go that route. We all know that's not going to work.
yeah,
And even for that, especially, when you go to like the tech rescue disciplines, where I'm like, I want everyone's opinion right now in training, right? Like we're training. So what do you think we should do? What do you think we should do? I'm
yeah,
like, the day the job comes, unless something is horribly wrong and it's a safety thing that you see, let's go with the way we're going to do it. But right now, tell me what you think and let's learn.
yeah. The training's that beautiful environment where it should be set up to fail. You should be comfortable to have a fail. Heaps of them. You should be failing most of the time at training, but finishing with success. So you could fail
Yeah, you
all
always have to
day.
finish on the good note.
Yes, absolutely. Because you don't learn as much from your successes as you do your failures. We always go, oh man, I stuffed that up. How can I not do that again? Because I feel bad. But if you have a win, even if it's wrong, you don't reflect on your win so much. You might brag about it, but you don't reflect on it as much. The learning is invaluable in failures. And that's where training, if we can provide a controlled, safe, and encouraging environment to have the learner try things and feel comfortable with failing, then they're going to learn.
Bro, you're gonna be the training chief. Like, why are you even talking like you don't want to promote anymore or anything? You're preaching it right now that you're like shoehorning yourself in for the job. I know the guy I have to talk to there, so when I talk to him again, I will make sure that he knows you're the training chief.
You know,
And I know he's got your back. I know the guy. I know the guy there. I met him. You introduced me to him. He was very nice. He had a uniform on, all kinds of stars and stuff. Like totally there. Like you're it.
He's an absolute champion. Right. He's been one of our department's best supporters, and to have his mindset is just just breath of fresh air. When you have great management, I'm not blowing smoke up his ass, but he'll know what I mean by that. But it's just breath of fresh air when you just, wherever you are, any job, when you have that management or that structure above you that supports you, so you can do your job and not have to worry about the politics.
I mean, you talk about mind blowing. When he saw how popular you guys were at FDIC and how everybody knew you, he was just like, what do you do here? Like, how do these people know you? Like, I think it's so funny that people I know, other firefighters, have taken classes with you. And then, like, you and I are, like, talking, and my buddy comes over and he's like, oh my God, you know Aussie Steve, Pip. Like, let me introduce you. We were in a class together. I'm like, bro, this guy's been to my house. Like, go back to your class with him. Like, what are you talking about? I know Aussie Steve. Of course I know Aussie Steve.
I've got a picture of him on my wall.
Yeah, right now it's in my living room. There's nobody else's picture is in my living room but 3 Australian firefighters. Like, that's in my family's pictures. So you guys are top quality here in the house in Jersey. But we're getting close to that hour that I promised that I would keep you. But I know another big thing for you, and we've kind of mentioned it with parenting, and it is just your kids and what you're doing outside of work with them. And I know you guys have the passion for lacrosse like we had here, and we moved on from that now. But, talk about that a little bit too, like that outside life that the kids are playing the sports that you played,
Yeah. So I played lacrosse since I was 10. And sports might be a little bit different here in Australia. Lacrosse isn't popular in Australia. It's like AFL in the States. Very unheard of, but it's there somewhere. A whole bunch of Australians are running around doing it. It's like that. So we have lacrosse here, and I've been playing it since I was 10. We're pretty competitive in the world stage. We're probably about 4th or 5th when it comes to world games. Not that I've ever played at that level, but just love it. It's just one of those sports that I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And to have my kids playing it, mind you, I probably forced it upon them at the beginning.
Just a little bit, maybe.
Just a little bit. But to have them playing and loving it and wanting to play it and wanting to get better, it's amazing to watch. And the best thing I've had to take my teaching experience from work mostly is now that I can coach the kids. So sometimes I coach my kids, sometimes I always coach the team, whether my kids are in it or not. So to teach kids how to pick up a skill from never seeing it before to now they're running around having a game within an hour, it's accomplishment. It's great. Like, I get to share my passion with these kids and run around, and they're having fun. Because lacrosse isn't an easy skill. It's not like...
No, not at all.
No.
And it only gets harder. I was just telling one of the guys that works younger, his younger son is going to start. And I'm like, look, it's all fun when they're little kids. They're not wearing helmets. There's no contact. They can do it. I was like, and then the way we do it here is it amps up each grade year a little bit. So then you throw the helmets on them and they play like a half field game. Then there's no contact for a little while. But just throwing that helmet on them, a whole different ball game. Like Finn and Declan were lost when we put the helmet on them. With they couldn't see what was happening. They didn't know where the ball was coming from. And you see it with little kids, but when you stick with it, you're learning that life skill. You have to overcome this if you're going to stick with it.
That's absolutely right. The beautiful thing about the life skill is my son. His lacrosse fundamental skills are developing. Proud dad, yeah? But what I'm seeing is he's starting to develop this leadership skill through probably the modeling that my wife and I have around him, that he supports the youngest kids in the team.
Love
He
that.
loves to score goals all day long, but he'll also make sure that the smallest kid will get the ball. He'll protect the smallest kid and make the smallest kid score a goal. What does that do? That small kid's family are like, wow, look at that. Look at that culture in that club where the big kid is supporting the little kid all the way through the game. That is a proud dad moment if you're ever going to have one.
For sure. 100%. Like, and it's a proud, like you said, for a club, because most lacrosse teams are clubs, you know, and it's a big family atmosphere where you know all the people through the ages. I don't know, like here you can't play down. So like if you're 12, you can't play with the 11-year-olds, but if you're 11, you can play with the 12-year-olds or the 13-year-olds if you're really good. So we kind of have that crossing back and forth of things, and you see that too, like, oh, he's playing up with the guys today, like, or something like that. It's always a good thing. And when you have, I'm not going to say everyone in our club was as nice as your son to help out other people, but when you have a really good club, that kind of gets rooted out quickly, I feel like.
Yeah.
That negative behavior.
Yeah, there's a club not far from us who has, I feel, that opposite culture where we've got to win, at any cost, and it gets a bit physical with the smaller kids, and it just, I put my hands to my face like, why? But yeah, then we have clubs that struggle with numbers, but they have a really good culture, and those kids are tight. They're not big, they're not fast, they're not strong, but because they're tight, they work better as a team. And you see it.
And when you see that in lacrosse more than any other sport, right? Because I've seen the boys go out and they didn't work together well, and then maybe the coach said something or they flipped someone from here to there. But when they work well, they're going to succeed. You know, that teamwork element of it, where like in soccer or football or baseball, it could be one player. In lacrosse, it's really hard, just that one player. They can't hold the ball forever.
I have a group of dads who, they're basketball coaches, and I'm a lacrosse coach, and I blow their mind by the fact that I don't want my team to win every game. They're like, well, why? We've got to win. It's good for the stats. I'm like, they're 12. Who cares about stats? You know, my fundamental thing. My daughter knows it. As soon as I say this one line, she says the answer straight away. What's my number one rule? And my daughter will go, fun. They're kids.
Win.
They've got to have fun. And if I can teach them how to play lacrosse and still have fun and make that recipe right, it's success. They may not have the success this year, but when they're older, they'll have all that skill. They'll now have that passion because lacrosse is fun.
It's just like training. Like we said, like, it's okay, you lost today. You lost this game. What are you going to do next week to make yourself better? You know, and Finn had a pretty good team this past 2 years. He had a really good club team. They could not beat every team, and they learned just as much from their losses as they did from their wins. And they were a really good group of boys, and it was really hard to tell them we were leaving. Like that, we're just, and then like the coaches were like, "No, what did we do? Like it was our fault. Like they thought we were going to another club, and we're like, no, we're going to a whole different world from sports." But it was that atmosphere that you want to be in, and I swear Finn learned more from his losses than he did their wins, for sure.
Yeah. I hear you, absolutely. And I think that's the fact that I get to do what I do in lacrosse with these kids at work with firefighters.
Kids.
Yeah. I didn't want to say
kids.
it. My other kids.
I'll say it. They're my other kids. They know.
Hey, and look, I love them all both the same.
Yep.
Love them dearly. But yeah, the relationship between what I do for work, what I do for fun, what I do for family, it strengthens me in every asset or every factor, because I'm just practicing this skill in a different world and then applying it to this world, then applying it to that world. And I'm lucky, but it's working.
It always works because you have the passion for it, right? Because you
Yeah.
care. And when it doesn't work, you learn something. So you're winning no matter what, man.
Oh man, I'm not going to have the kids go running after that ball all in one go. Never doing that again because someone got hurt. I'm not doing that again. Next time I'll do it just 2 kids at a time. You learn.
Yep.
And the parents go, look, he's applying himself. He cares about what my kids are doing.
Which is a whole nother part of our job too, and being a coach and being a parent. It's just that you care, right? Like I care about everyone I work with, even the people that I don't like. I still care about them, right? Like I can't like everybody, right? Can't be everybody's best buddy all the time or whatever, but I care about you, and I'm going to keep you as safe as I can. And some days you may not like that decision that I made to keep you safe, but I don't really care because I know I kept you safe, and that's what matters to me.
Yeah, think of your truck right now or your clients that you turn out with. You're the player coach or player captain, yeah? You may have a vice captain in the team, right? Or your number one gun player, and you've got the rest of the team in there as well. It doesn't mean they're not good but as your number one player, but you've got a structure there, and you kind of apply the same rules. You know, you go, all right, well, when I need something that's critical, I'm going to pick my best player to do that critical task. If I need my team to score a goal or I need my team to share the ball, I know who's going to share the ball. I know who's going to score the goal. So the more you coach your team in training, especially, the more you know their strengths, their weaknesses, the more you can apply them, the more you have victories.
And that's it, right? It's knowing those strengths. And I don't want to say strengths and weaknesses either, because it's not that someone's weak. It's just that some people are better at other things than some people are. You know, like I know who's going on the rope and I know who's tying the knots type of a thing. Like I know what everybody's skill sets are and hey, that's what matters, you know? And it was always the joke that like, I didn't need to know how to tie the knots because I was going in the hole or over the side of the building on the rope. I still learned how to tie the knots, but like, come on, who are we holding on a rope here? How much weight do I have versus some other folks out there? It's just going to be me.
It's got to be the
it's
right
still
person.
Going to be me, probably.
It's got to be the right person for the right task. And that's the same as at home. Like, I know my wife is better at a lot of things than I am. And she looks after those tasks or those responsibilities. And then she knows that I have strengths that's going to help the family in other areas. And as long as we identify what we're good at and what we're not good at, we work. The team works. And that's all we are. That house, you're a team. In the firehouse, you're a team. On the sporting field, you're a team.
Oh, that's it, man. That is like, I don't know. I got nothing to say about that because I agree with it 100%. I rarely agree with anyone 100%, but that's it, right? That teamwork aspect of it all and that compromise, right? Like it's the same with parenting and marriage and having a spouse. Like it is. I have compromised more in these 20 years than I have ever in my life. And the next 20, I'll just keep doing it.
That's it. But I'm sure she's compromised a lot too.
I don't think it's as much as I have, but you know, we'll just go with that because she's not in the room right now. So, and she can't hear you like you're just saying that out loud. So I think I compromise way more than she does. It's just the way it goes in life, right?
That is absolutely. That's life. That is life.
Steve, man, this has been a great hour, and I told you it was going to go like fly by once we get going. Once we figure out what we're going to talk about, and it's been awesome, and I'm so happy we finally got to do it because we've been talking about this for months.
Yeah, it's been good. It's last time I listened to your podcast, I've listened to a few, but the one with Jared specifically, I was like, you guys aren't doing a podcast, you're just catching up.
That's all we were. Yeah, that's all we do is catch up. Like that's the same as this. Like we just got a quick catch up, and I think I almost feel like a little not jealous, but like sad that I'm like we're doing this now, and I'm going to see you in like a month, and I'm like we should have done this 2 months ago. It would have been so much better.
This is just a warm up.
That's it.
We can talk about all the things we're not allowed. Yeah, we can talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about online.
For sure, we shall, my friend. For sure. Are you ready for the Size Up 10 though, International Edition?
Okay, let's go.
I don't even know if Jared did this. I think when he was on the show, I didn't even do this yet. So that's how long ago it was. So
I hope he didn't do it. I got to have something above him.
Okay, then he definitely didn't do it. So he'll forget anyway. He's getting married this weekend. He's not going to remember anything. His life is over with, pal.
That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm so excited to like see the pictures at least, because they're like, you guys have to come. I'm like, we can't come. We're coming a month later. We can't come to the wedding and then come back in a month. So anyway, here we go. 10 questions that are never going to go quick. So is it for you? Is it beach or mountains? What's your choice?
I'm a mountains person. Just it's quiet, fresh air, and just the view. The view and perspective.
The view is a win there.
Perspective. It makes you feel small and makes you feel humbled again.
You have not been to the mountains here though. Like you've never been to Colorado or like Washington State yet. Vermont.
I lived for 4 years in Aspen.
Oh, okay. I guess I forgot that part of your life. I'm a good friend. So well, let's move on. Number 2, is it a night out or a night in?
If my wife's listening, it's a night in. If she's not listening, it's a night out. You know me.
I do know you,
I'm
my friend.
Lionel Richie, baby. You. I'm all night long. They don't call me 5 a.m. Steve for nothing.
How about a movie everybody needs to see?
I'm not a big TV movie person, but I'm going to go with my nerd here and like Star Wars. I love it. I'm sorry.
Which episode? Which episode then? If you're going to say Star Wars, which episode? All of them?
All of them. Gotta be in it. The Clone Wars, the cartoon series, even the Lego ones. All of them. And I love it because it's how I bond with my kids. They love it as well.
I got you on that one for sure. So, all right. So, I guess being, you're driving across Australia, which no one does because there's nothing in the middle. Who is going to be your celebrity co-pilot?
It'd have to be, I don't know if everyone knows this person. I think you would in the States. Neil deGrasse Tyson. He does Star Talk. He's like a science boffin. You got to Google it. Star Talk he does. Neil deGrasse Tyson. He basically simplifies science to how we can understand it. And it's so interesting. Like they were just talking about the other day, digging a hole through the center of the earth to the other side. And then what would happen if you jump in? And then he was simplistically explaining gravity mixed with velocity and where would you actually end up? The rabbit hole conversations I would have with him in a cross-country trip would be, I'd be blown away.
You just went from 5 a.m. party Steve, the super nerd, in 2 questions, like Star Wars, and now this like they're gonna dig a hole through the earth to like. Right now, people are like, I'm clicking off. I don't even want to know the rest of this geek's answers.
I'm an onion, man. There's many layers.
Many layers. Do you make your bed every day?
No.
Good answer.
I wish I did. I know the benefits of it, but yeah, no, just throw the covers over. I've got too much shit to do.
But that's right. If you throw the covers over, that's making your bed. I'm not talking like hospital corners here. I throw the cover over. That's making my bed. Like it looks neat. If you look at it, it looks very neat from the outside. So that counts. That counts. Don't sell yourself short on that. How about a book everybody has to read?
Yeah, I've got 2. Quick one will be Start With Why by Simon Sinek. That's my inner teaching, learning, nerdism. But the other one, a fire book that I like, it is not a reading book. It's Paul Coombs's cartoon books.
Oh, it's a cartoon book, yeah.
That is the best book I've ever flipped through. You can start so many conversations with people, so many conversations. It's the conversation starter. You got to have that on your coffee table.
Have you ever met him when you were at FDIC? Did you get to meet him there?
Briefly.
Such a great dude, man.
Signed book. I was happy with that.
That's like one of my cool like celebrity stories, I guess, where I was at a conference in Ohio and the elevator door opened. I was on the elevator door opened, and a guy that I knew came in, and I'm like, oh, John, what's up? And Paul came in, and I'm like, holy shit, you're Paul Combs. And he looks back at me, and he goes, holy shit, you're Pip from 555 Fitness. I was like, wait, did this just occur? Like, did you know who I am, dude? Because I've been reading your cartoons for years. Like, and that conversation starter, you can just take one of his little cartoons, and you could do a whole class based off of one of them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love his stuff.
Cool. It's good things. All right, which one are you taking, highways or back roads?
I'm back roads all the way. My wife hates
Even
it.
from Indiana to New Jersey, you're going to take back roads?
Oh, that's. I was hanging on, just trying to follow you guys.
Told
um,
you we drove fast.
yeah. Now back roads, because you just find things that you wouldn't find normally. We went to South Australia last year, um, and we just started taking back roads, and we found this beautiful farm with Wagyu cows that were cooking like a 5-star level um, meat, and it was just amazing. I wouldn't have found it if we had been on the highway.
Yeah, if you're on the highway. I agree with you
Yeah,
on those back roads, like just little side adventures and like, what is that? Let's go check it out. So
yeah, absolutely. That's what life is. Exploring.
it's an adventure.
Yeah.
I know you are already well traveled, but give me a bucket list place to visit that you haven't been to.
Antarctica.
You know, I just met somebody that went there. They were just talking about it maybe like a week or two ago. We were somewhere, and I was like, I don't think I've ever met anyone. Well, I've had a guest on that went to Antarctica, but I never physically met someone that was there, and they were like, it was epic.
I would love to go. Love to go. I've flown over it. You don't know because you're asleep in the plane, but we fly that kind of arc to get to South
Okay.
America, where my wife's from. So we fly over it. You never see it though. That's as close as I've been, unknowingly over it.
Well, you're closer than me, buddy, so you got that.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I can ask you this question, or maybe I can say it then. Is it rugby, football, or football? Which one are you going with?
The AFL football. So it's
The
not
AFL
soccer.
football, okay.
It's not soccer. Not the European football. And rugby is for everyone in the north. So in Sydney, where we're going to catch up, that's rugby heartland. But down in the south, it's AFL football heartland. We play it everywhere, but that's where it's mostly focused.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take that as your answer then. And then for the last question, it's always the best piece of advice you could give to your younger self.
I love this question. It's really makes you really think about it. I think for me, I would have loved to give my advice of to be teachable and stop pretending that you know everything. Because when I learnt in my 30s, early 30s, I kind of figured that out, that I should just stop talking, shut up and listen, because I don't know it all.
And you're never gonna, right? That's the end.
No.
It takes to about, I'll agree. I think it was, I might
wisdom
went a little over
years.
30.
The wisdom years.
I was a little over 30 when I realized that one. I'm going to go with like 35. I think like, especially kids helped me learn that for sure too. But it's something we all need to know. And, you know, everybody has to make those mistakes too, that you do think you know it all for a while and then get to that point where you're just going to be that lifelong learner.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. As soon as you know that you don't know everything, you go to try and find out where you can find everything out. It's a weird place to be as a middle-aged man.
You listen to science nerds talking about drilling through the earth and what happens to you with gravity and velocity.
Yeah. 20 years old.
I'm going to look that up now. I'm definitely going to listen because now I have to know. We could talk about it when I get there. Oh no, did you just freeze at the end?
Oh no, we're back.
Oh, there you go. Whew, I'm like, we made it the whole way.
Yeah.
Aussie Steve, this has been great, man. This has been such a great catch up. I can't wait to see you in a month. So excited.
I love it.
And to meet your family. That's a whole different story too. So
yeah, I can't wait to meet everyone. I'm looking forward to our families getting together.
Yeah. So as are the boys. Like it's just the whole thing is going to be great. And
yeah.
Again, folks, listen. A lot of these episodes that I record goes to this like networking concept of get yourself out there, meet people. You know, had Bear not messaged 555 asking if we would send a shirt there, and us like, sure, we'll figure out how to do that. I didn't even know what it cost, and it was not cheap to send him a shirt, but it didn't matter because we were sending a shirt to Australia, and that's it. 12 years later, like here we are, right? And so you have to get those networks together. You have to be friendly with people, and it doesn't mean Steve and I talk every day, but you know, once a month or so, we're chatting it up online usually, or something along those lines. I'd say, right?
Yeah. We always stay connected.
Yep.
Always looking forward to catching up with you at FDIC.
And there's always that end of it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll even record when I'm there because I'll have most of the stuff that I need to record. So we may have to do a little live catch up with the boys there for a little bit, and I'll video the toilet for everyone. So, Steve, thanks for coming, man. Thanks for getting the time wrong and keeping me honest.
No, thanks for having me. It's been
Listen, man, everybody listening, I can't say it enough, man. Friendships and networking is just probably one of my happiest parts of this whole life that I've created for myself. So, get yourself out there, meet folks, put yourself out there, make connections, stay friendly with people. And until next time, this is Pip for the Size Up by National Fire Radio, where what you do off the job matters.
National Fire Radio.